Seattle Sounders returned to practice today after their loss to Vancouver. Then they had 2 days off, and so Brian Smetzer said the coaching staff did a lot of reflection this morning, just looking at how are they practicing, their tactics in practice and all those things, their film studies, and they just kind of really evaluated how they're getting the message to the team, and which makes sense. It wasn't like a deep dive and Wolves kind of thing, but it's the ongoing refinement of what good coaching staff does. So here's some B-roll, and then some interesting thoughts from Brian Smetzer, just in terms of what the team's been taking a look at. And here we go. Let's go to the tape.
Beyond the tactics, so I think our attitude on the field is not good. We can say about tiredness, heavy legs, travels, but at the end of the day we need to do better because we are capable. It's a really good team, we proved that before, so we need to change the mentality, a little bit of be more brave, be more aggressive sometimes. If the game is not in a good way for us, we need to make hard for them. It's all about make hard for them because they press us very, very hard. So why not press them the same way, make it difficult for them as well. So yeah, we have talking a lot to change, and we expect a good response on Saturday. But I think when we have some problem in the game, we go with the head down, and I think it's a little bit harder to come back. The last few games we start in behind, but that's not excuse. We need to do better it's all of us. It's not one or two guys. It's as a group.
But that's the balance between when that player puts his head down. Sometimes you have to say, "Come on, let's go," and then sometimes you kind of have to be a little bit more like, "Let's go." What's that balance, and how do you approach that?
Yeah, Steph talk a lot about this. When that happens, your teammates need to go there and give a hand and be positive, because, like I said, sometimes the things is not going well in the game. That's normal. Every team goes to that. So how we respond, it's what matters. So I think in that sense we need to do better and be more in a good way, be more collective and give a hand for our teammates and push them to go forward.
How important is it to stay together, when you go through adversity? You play in a lot of teams, the team.
Yeah, it's normal. The season is long. So we start very well, and now we are in a gap of not good results. But it's like I said, it's how we're gonna respond and start on Saturday.
I saw that Christian was out here today. How was that, and how do you have a sense of how far out he is?
Yeah, we'd like him to be out here in full training, but he's out in partial training. He's working his way back. They figured out a couple of things that they think might be causing some of the delays. We get more into that as soon as we get better information, but he's on the mend.
Does he still need to play 2 full trainings before he could be available at least for play?
For Red Bull?
No. Does he have to play, practice in full at least 2 times in order to be able to be available?
The concussion protocol is different. It's a set of steps. They have to head the ball from ball in hand, no symptoms, then heading, then more running, more physical testing, more testing in front of the computer with their notes. It's a complicated process. It's not just he's got to be involved in 2 training sessions. It's more than that.
Right, I think it was, but during the game, one of your players got hit on the head. He went down and got straight back up. Did you have any sense like what was it? I think it was Cody on the left side, because there was a play where he went up for a header. He went down and
yeah, maybe I remember that.
He went right back up, but.
I mean, we try and educate the players. It's not a sign of, you're the toughest kid on the block, or, you're macho, anything like that. It's serious. So we don't want to make light of it. We want the players to be educated. If they feel something, they need to say something,
Is there relief that now they've actually found something that's slowing this process? Because I don't know remember a concussion, somebody in a concussion.
Well, there's been players. I mean, Chad had him for an extended period of time. There's been actually quite a few MLS players, not just Taylor Twellman, but other famous players have gone down with, concussion symptoms and ended their career. So we don't want it to get to that stage with Christian. We want this first one to be dialed in, that we've checked all the boxes to make sure it doesn't extend. There was a lot of reflection. I'll just give you my opinion, my reflection. Did we, set the team up properly? How did we press? When do we press? The lineup decisions. Do you do what normal coaches do? You pick the 2 games on the weekend, mix the team in the middle. Did we play strong, and then some changes? Is that just because of our health situation? We talked about our training. How are we training the guys, both physically and the tactical stuff? I mean, we went over a lot of reflection this morning as coaches to make sure that, we're not missing anything. I think the goals, Alex raised his hand. I mean, he's got broad shoulders. He could have done better on both those plays. He knows it. But was that a symptom of fatigue, playing 3 games in a week? And we ask a lot out of Alex Roldan. We ask him to get up and down that field. But that's a demand of the game. And he doesn't say that as an excuse. And, I don't say that as an excuse for Alex. It happened. And so, it wasn't a good performance. I'll agree with you there. I'm not sure it's the worst, but it wasn't good.
And the pressing, just going back to that, more in terms of recognizing when other teams are pressing you.
There was a massive gap between their front 7. It's clear on the tape. You guys, I don't know if you guys get the panoramic view, but they pressed with 7. They got the 3 center backs, and we had Chu and Montero and Jordan on 3 center backs, almost 3 for 3, and we weren't able to take advantage of that. We took advantage of that the first 10 minutes. Chu got down the left-hand side a couple times, but after that, it didn't work.
Is that a recognition thing?
Yeah, it's a recognition. It's, the flow of the game. We defend, we'd press, and then somebody would give the ball away. We defend, and, they get tired when they defend, and so how do we sustain our possession? How do we sustain our attack, our effective attacking? I mean, there's lots of little things, little nuances that we try to message within the film, because they look a little sluggish, for sure.
Are you frustrated? I gotta ask the hard question. Frustrated with the turnovers?
Well, I know they happen. It happens to the best of them. It happens to Nico, it happens to Yaimar, it happens to Alex, it happens to Josh, it happens to everybody. I mean, we want to try and avoid them at all costs. Again, back to our messaging as a coaching staff, I can take some of that responsibility. Maybe the 3rd game in a week, you play a little more conservative. maybe the message is, hey, let's possess the ball more. Let's be a little bit more cautious. We're away from home. I don't do that naturally. I want to play the same home or away. So lots of reflection for us. But again, results matter. I mean, we can play well and lose 1-0, or we can possess the ball for 68% of the time and lose 1-0, or we can not score goals and we score a goal off a set piece and we win 1-0. I mean, those are all things within our sport. I think I'd credit Andy. He's taken a lot of time and doing a lot of research on different set piece ideas. So we're working on it.
Marking in the box still a concern. Obviously, they scored.
Yeah, obviously, the second goal. If you're talking about the second goal, again, Alex a little cleaner. They come down. Cody had to come all the way across to find the guy top of box. Was that because we were stretched and the recovery of the midfielders should have been in that zone? I mean, you can cut it both ways.
And is that communication then by both of them?
It's just reaction. It's recovery. It's transition defending.
I was thinking if the back line says, "Hey, Brian, come on back," if you're going up, is that? Or...
Well, I don't know if you're talking about that specific play.
I just mean in general. Sorry.
In general.
Yeah.
Look, we're always going to try and press effectively, especially at home. We got 3 home games. We want to do a good job there. We worked on it a little bit today. We want to make sure that we reward the players for the work they do defensively. If they press effectively, they'll create chances.
So the reward is in we press, we get the ball, and okay.
You're closer to goal, and your opponent is unorganized, and can you catch them? That to me is rewarding yourself for pressing effectively.
Okay, there you had it. Brian Smetzer, the B-roll, and of course, João Paulo also talking about, really what all this is about is how can the Sounders, how can the team get back to form? How can they press better? How can they execute? And there's a really amazing, interesting quote in there from Brian, which you saw. And it was a revelation to me in terms of, hey, what Brian said. It's worth repeating. Look, we press, and then we reward our players when we get the ball to have them try to get the opponent, off balance and then execute and score. I mean, that's a really interesting inside philosophy. But again, so Sounders came back to practice today. They've got a big game on Saturday at home against the New York Red Bulls. For the CascadiaSports.net report, I'm Osvita Mare.